Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We're going to talk about Avalon Hill games today. The two that come to mind that I've played in I've played a lot over my lifetime. In the last few years, the ones I've played the most are Battle of the Bulge and Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is awesome. The only thing is the stacking gets a little out of hand, and it's got plenty of interesting scenarios, especially the one where the bugs are coming from under the ground and stuff, and you have the map of the tunnels and stuff. That's really cool. And Avalon Hill General magazine had issues where they had extra scenarios and stuff, and articles about the Starship Troopers game, which are all beneficial if you own the game. And then as far as Battle of the Bulge, it's not the most historically accurate. Actually, it's not very historically accurate at all, and it doesn't really feel like a Battle of the Bulge game, but it is fun to play. So I guess that's the most important thing with a war game, is that it's fun to play, and it's also easy to learn. So those are the two that come to mind for me. What about you, Len? You've played more than I have.
Well, the key thing about Avalon Hill is when I started, they were virtually the only people on the block. So first half dozen games were Avalon Hill games. So we started with Luftwaffe, which we thought would be Dogfight. It ended up being something else. We did... I think the first tactical air combat game was Richthofen's War, which we played to death that summer. There's also games like Stalingrad, 1914. You know, there's a problem I had in those days is that the games that were real neat were their most complicated ones. So, of course, you know, they have all-time favorites like Wooden Ships and Iron Men. And I liked their submarine game, which was a reprint of the Battle Line one. Also, there are other fun things like I met the publisher. They were owned by Monarch Press.
Right, those were the second owners of it. Originally, Charles Roberts owned it, and then I think he sold it to Monarch when he started having financial troubles or something. I think he actually owed Monarch money, is what I understand. So they ended up buying
he was
the company.
the largest debtor. So the idea was that, well, gee, you know, Eric Dult is a very smart man. He realized that this could provide a lot of continual business. So if he bought the company, actually, he paid off the debts, and he could continually he could print other things. Because one thing, talking to people who worked at Avalon Hill, is actually how often he saved the company. Like, for instance, the staff members used to get all these letters from people with like orders of battle and all sorts of, and they put it in what they call their crank file. He looked at it and said, "You guys are crazy. You know how much it costs to do research in the world of business?" This is the pre-internet days. And these guys are doing it for you for free. And I think there was also, later on, they were deciding they're going to get into sports games, exclusive sports games. So they were going to fire their staff and hire new people and train them to be game designers. And he goes, no. You know, all your game designers, you know, war game designers are sports fans too. So it was a simple matter. And supposedly what happened at a meeting, he just said, "Okay, guys, what's your favorite sport?" One guy goes, "Basketball." "Okay, you do basketball game." "What about you?" "Wrestling." "You do a wrestling game." And they put a few things out like that. And of course, I had to...
Wonder how the wrestling game was. That one I've never owned.
I haven't seen it. I remember once I was curious, but I found out like it's out of print and hard to get copies of it, and I wasn't that interested in it. One Gen Con, I actually met the guy, Eric Dult. And as I'm talking to him, I notice he's looking in a certain direction. And I go, over there's a cute babe in, you know, a nice tight outfit. One of these chainmail babes. And so, that's what you... So I turned around, side by side, and started telling her, how, you know, the good things about Avalon Hill. Because I told them one problem is there are people... I tend to buy games based on subjects or certain battles. So I buy from all publishers. Some people sometimes we call them hillheads. They're Avalon Hill fans, and you ask them what they like, and so well, it's the typical good quality of Avalon Hill games. Like, okay, define that, and they're silent. Well, I tell them, good good graphics. They tend to have good graphics, good sturdy boxes.
Yeah, Avalon Hill did have a good, for the time, a good component quality. Actually, their maps were all the ones I've had, or at least that I can remember, were mounted, whereas a lot of the modern war games, the maps are not mounted. So.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I can't let this go without mentioning the 5 minutes I worked for Avalon Hill.
Oh, I didn't know you worked for them.
Well, I didn't. What it is, I was at Gen Con. It was the year at Gen Con they announced that Hasbro or who bought Avalon Hill.
Yeah, one of those. It might have been Hasbro. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So there were two people there. So what? The notice came over the loudspeaker. So the two of them are going, wait a minute, we got, the two workers want with, they got their big cell phones, the type they were about as big as a brick in those days. And the booth is empty. So I'm looking at it, oh, wait a minute, I better watch this because, while they were gone, people were coming and asking me questions. Of course, I knew enough about the products to at least give a, realistic recommendation. But I told them to wait a few minutes before they actually buy it. Until one of the real employees come back. But yes, my 5 minutes working for Avalon.
So what's your all-time favorite Avalon Hill game?
Wind Ships and Iron Man. I base this on what I play the most.
We'll have to play that soon. I got 2 copies of it at home, and as far as I know, I've never played the damn game. How I ended up with 2 copies, I don't know, but I got 2 copies.
I may have to bring out my game, because you probably don't want to break up yours.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I'll get it out.
All right.
And there's a lot of one-to-one scenarios we can play easily. So,
cool.
That's about it.
All right, guys, thanks. We'll have a new War Game chat for you next week. Have a good evening.